The Miami Dolphins just signed former All-Pro Jordan Poyer to a one-year, $2 million deal. What a steal for the Miami Dolphins. I'm Connor from the Dolphins Dive, and I'm here to break it all down. Before I give my thoughts on the signing, comment your thoughts on this signing right down below. But without further ado, I'm going to hop right into today's video. What a steal for the Miami Dolphins. Only $2 million for a starting safety to pair up with Jevon Holland. Former All-Pro. We've seen him year in, year out facing the Buffalo Bills, and he was an All-Pro for a reason. He's one of the best safeties in all of football. Obviously, he's old now. He's 32, I believe, but he's still pretty good, especially at that price tag. You cannot complain, and especially in a defensive system that's likely going to rely on three safeties. So I don't expect the Dolphins to be done spending at the safety position, but when you only spend $2 million, it opens up so many different options where the Dolphins can go out and spend another $5 million on a safety if they really wanted to. I don't necessarily anticipate that happening, but what a deal for the Dolphins. I keep saying it because it's so true, but I'm ecstatic for Poyer in this defense to pair him up with Jevon Holland. Now you know you have your two high safeties, so I would expect the other safety. I mean, Javon's got versatility too, so the other one doesn't necessarily have to be versatile because Jevon could take care of that, but another hole checked off for Chris Grier and the Miami Dolphins. Once again, I'm not trying to take a victory lap.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
But if you guys watch my content, you'd be the most informed Dolphins fans on the planet, because I said this is the approach the Miami Dolphins should take, and they are doing so with being very smart with their assets this free agency. They're not going out and spending, unfortunately, the $27.5 million on Christian Wilkins. I would have loved to keep him, but all of the signings we've made so far are great quality players, and I think combined, someone did the math, it's $34 million in comparison to Wilkins. So that's the smart moves that the Dolphins have been making. I know it sucks to lose an all-star talent like Wilkins, but now this team has been filled out way better, and we minimize the holes on this roster. You go out and add a stud like Jordan Poyer, who's going to help patrol the back end of the defense with Jevon Holland. You know he's going to do it at a high level. He's from the area, so I think that might be why he took a little bit of a pay cut. But nonetheless, it's a tremendous signing. And now where do the Dolphins go from here? Because once again, they've been checking off the boxes these past 2 days, and it's only 2 days in. They have a bunch of money getting freed up in June, so I mean, there's never times to not add players. You have the drafts coming up as well, and the Dolphins are really doing a good job of building this team up to where, on paper, you might have been able to say it last year, but especially with the losses that the Bills have been facing, like the Dolphins are probably the best team in the division. They continue to upgrade while some of the other teams have been downgrading, and they're very slowly getting it to the point where we really don't have any holes. They still do, and they still need to be addressed. Most notably, obviously, defensive tackle to pair up with Zach Sealer. A big name to watch out for is Eric Armstead. He's more on the higher end. I don't know if the Dolphins are going to spend that much money, but if they can, it'd be huge. It's not going to affect the compensatory formula because Armstead was released. As well with Jordan Poyer, that I failed to mention, is he was also released. So it's $2 million, so it really wouldn't have had an effect regardless. But even had it's not going to be the case anymore because he was released. So the Dolphins and Chris Grier have been very smart with keeping the compensatory picks in line. The Dolphins are set to have at least 2 third-round picks next year in the draft, and that just continues the cycle of being able to accrue talent, because once Tua's quarterback contract hits, you really have 1 to 2 more years to spend before it really cuts off. And you see it firsthand with the Buffalo Bills. When they paid Josh Allen, they were still able to add talent, but now his big cap numbers are starting to hit, and that's when Poyer and Hyde have to get released. Tre'Davious White, all these guys, they can't bring back, and that's because of that contract. And that's going to happen for the Miami Dolphins, but if they build themselves up correctly, you then get those compensatory picks, and then you can hopefully hit on those draft picks and to continue to churn the roster and build it with young, good talent. And I think Chris Grier is doing a phenomenal job. But as I was saying with the remaining holes on the roster, obviously you need to get a defensive tackle. You need probably another safety, but once again, that's cheap. We could probably bring Deshaun Elliott back for $3 to $4 million per year, or you could get someone in the draft. It's not going to be expensive to get a third safety. I would say another big hole on defense would be a veteran cornerback to pair up with Jalen Ramsey. You can feel confident about Jalen Ramsey. I perceive the rest of the cornerback room as you feel confident in whoever wins the battle between Cam Smith, Gator Kohu, and Ethan Bonner. I feel like the best of those three, you feel confident as a starter. I think you might be able to get two starters out of those three players, but you don't want to necessarily bank on that. And that's why I think you add a veteran corner. It doesn't have to be an expensive player, but someone to at least compete. And if a Cam Smith beats him out, amazing. And if not, you at least have that veteran presence that can hold down that side of the field. So whether that's an Xavier Howard or Eli Apple, but those are the really only holes I perceive on defense, as well as an additional edge rusher is needed. We did bring in Shaq Barrett, but you would like at least one more guy as Phillips and Chubb return from injury. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I would say it's just the guard spots. Honestly, the Dolphins need wide receiver depth, but once again, you can sign guys for the bottom of the barrel that are going to be quality. We have some guys under like the practice squad that are on reserve contracts that you could really rely on. The bulk of our receiving work is already accounted for with Waddle and Tyreek Hill, but some depth's needed there. But it's really in terms of starting players, you are looking at the guard spots, which once again aren't expensive in free agency unless you're going to the top of the market like a Robert Hunt got $100 million. But an Isaiah Wynn, for example, you can bring back for probably $3 to $4 million. A Laken Tomlinson you can probably get for around like $4 to $6 million. You can get good quality players for cheap, and Chris Greer's been doing a masterclass of this all free agency. I'm a huge fan of all of these deals so far. Like I said, comment your thoughts down below on this signing. Like and subscribe to help the channel grow. And until next time, fins up.